Polite Inquiries, SCG. Tino Jolly says, fair result at the end. Cool-headed Boovie, the difference between Adelaide and Sydney. I love Boovie.
Well, Boovie groovy. He was certainly, he played his role. He didn't do much with the ball, bowling at about 110.
There was one over that was 110 to 115, I remember at one
A lot
point.
of questions about second spinner not playing. He was the second spinner out there, wasn't he? And, right. Perhaps he was chosen just for his batting ability down lower order. Perhaps him and Ashwin, they were there in the first test match. India might have pulled it off. Could have been... Well, scoreline again, 2-0.
A. Chapman says, the real difference between the two teams this series has been the fast bowling. Agree. Well, that's definitely been one of the factors, for sure, the fast bowling. But I would say the other major factor has been the fact that India's batting order has just collapsed in every single test.
Yeah.
They were like 2 for 160 at tea, for goodness sake.
Exactly. But... the question, fast bowling, Nathan Lyon was the leading wicket taker, so that perhaps wasn't the case. Perhaps it was just India's incapacity to take 20 wickets with a spinner, fast bowler, medium pacer, whatever you want to call it. But no, Nathan Lyon ended up being the difference, really.
And who would have thought a spinner would be the highest wicket taker in this series? And maybe India should have played Ashwin in Adelaide. Peter Z says, was there any time today that India actually tried to win? I thought there was a point out there where Kohli had kind of said...
I'll hold up one end.
I'll hold up one end and you go for it. When VJ was kind of batting really well, I thought, and he started, he went to Lyon after they hadn't scored much. I thought, they're going to go here. But then after that,
no, exactly. As you said, VJ, I think there's one over against, I think it was Hazlewood or Harris, where he took a couple of paces down the track and hit one across the line. And I thought, hang on, the chase is on here. But as Kohli was holding up one end, I thought Stark bowled fabulous, and so did Hazlewood. So I think, and Kohli said that in the press conference, you have to give it to the Australian bowlers. If Indian bowlers were bowling to the Indian batsmen, the game would have been over with about 10 overs to spare.
M. Misra says, is Hazlewood that good, or was it just India being India? New bowlers always scare them. There's been a lot of buzz around Hazlewood for a long time. I remember interviewing him when he was in the Australian under-19 side. People were comparing him to Glenn McGrath back then, and today you really could see it, couldn't you? So consistent, nagging, length, and he was getting the line right.
And as you said, nagging line, and it comes naturally. He doesn't have to try too hard. I think he's even, bowls that little bit fuller length than Glenn McGrath, and he brings the batsman forward. He's sensational. I mean, you give him, put him at the Gabbo, put him on a wicket that's going to do a bit. He's going to take a lot and lots of wickets.
Stephen says he didn't even get bounced, yet still somehow bagged a pair. Suresh Raina's last test. I felt sorry for him. So sorry for him.
Who feels sorry for him? I don't think anyone in India feels sorry for him. What's he doing playing Test cricket? Seriously, he's a blue shirt, white ball specialist. He shouldn't be out here. I mean, only person delighted would be Rohit Sharma. He's been put up the order and he's probably thinking, did I lose my number 6 spot after playing that shot in the first innings? Now he's thinking, the number 6 spot, it's all mine because Suresh Raina. Would he ever play Test cricket again? I
don't know. He's practiced the walk out and back a lot. I could hardly watch. As soon as he walked out, he looked so uncomfortable being there. Those first 2 balls, I just couldn't watch. It was painful to watch. Swapnil says, good performances from Stark and Hazlewood means that the Test match doors now closed for Peter Siddle. It's going to be hard for him to come back, I think.
Yeah, but I think he'll go to England. I think he needs to go to England. I mean, this is one pitch where you need a Peter Siddle because he's like a horse. He just keeps coming in. And as we found out last Ashes tour, just before it started, everyone was writing Peter Siddle off. And in that first game in, I think it was Nottingham, he managed to pick up a fifer. So Peter Siddle, he still needs to be around the camp, whether if he gets in or not.
Siddharth says, Dhoni has in-out spinner fields, gets pilloried, Smudge does it and gets praised. Better bowlers, anyone? Now this is funny because we were talking about this, did you see the leg slip that was in there almost all day for Lyon?
Right.
And we were saying when Michael Clarke sets a field like that, it's funky, but when Dhoni does, it's desperation.
Well, it is desperation, but as you saw here, we sort of criticised Dhoni's captaincy so much, but he knows his bowler's capacity more than anybody else. So we go criticise and say, why has he got a deep point? But as we saw, Australia scored more than 200 runs in a session. If Dhoni was the captain, trust me, that wouldn't have happened because he would have had boundary controllers probably from the first over.
It's just everybody on the boundary.
He's too smart that way.
Sergio says, is Joe Burns a long-term number 3 for Australia?
I don't think so. Just looking at him, I think there's somebody else. I think Sean Marsh. There's somebody else who's got to be out there. I don't think he looks like a number 3 to me. I think he looks somebody who's there about 5. Perhaps it's time for Steve Smith to go to number 3. Yeah. But I don't think he's a long-term number 3 prospect. I don't think he's ready for that yet. I think he needs to play a little bit more Test cricket. Whenever Ricky Ponting started out, he went down to 6, then came up. It's just a process. I think that's how we breed them in Australia. So not a long-term number 3.
I think it's too early to say yet. Black Cap fan number 1 says, how many polite inquiries do I need to send in for one to get picked? 48?
What was the query? What was the question? Does he have a question?
No, how many does he have? How many does he need to
Keep sending them.
48, I think.
48?
48.
Okay, 48.
Ahmad says, where is Jared Kimber? Have you killed him?
No.
Oh, didn't we? I did.
Oh, did you?
No, I did.
Oh, there you go.
Oops.
Well,
sorry. We killed him in Melbourne and
but
he came
he did
back.
rise. So is he going to rise?
No, I think he's gone for good. He's in the lake out there. Sukrit says, is it the last episode of Polite Inquiries or would you continue during the Tri-Series and World Cup? Hoping that it continues.
I don't know. She's the Cricinfo girl. Ask her.
We might see you again. Or
we might
not.
see Jared again.
We might see Jared again.
Might get the original cast back.
Or maybe not. Maybe see you later.